5 years ago. And I was pretty tired, to be honest, the first night I arrived. And John Wright introduced me. I think you know about this, Ron. And I turned to my wife, Roz, when I'd finished preaching and the final song was being sung, and I whispered those hopeful words of every visiting speaker: I'm going to get out of here fast. I'm just going to sneak out the side door, because I don't think I've got any energy to pray for anybody. I'll be better tomorrow, because I've had a long journey to get here. Well, the people beat me to it. So I ended up praying for people. In fact, we had a couple of hundred lined up pretty quickly. We're going up the line. Only about the fourth person was a lady called Carrie. And I said, what would you like prayer for, Carrie? And she said, severe migraine. Actually, I have a gift for praying with migraine, I've noticed. It's one of the things I've seen God heal perhaps more of. So I'm thinking, oh, right, okay, in my comfort zone. And then she said, but I feel so guilty. I said, why? She said, well, nobody told me that when you're pregnant, if you take Advil, it can seriously affect your pregnancy. And I've had 10 miscarriages. But it's okay, she says. I've got 5 children. I said, no, you haven't. She said, yes, I have. I said, you've got 15 children. And she told me you had 10 miscarriages. Yeah, she said, but I've got 5 children. And I said, so the other 10, are they just lumps of flesh or what? I mean, when do you become a person, do you think? And I think from conception, of course. It's all there, isn't it? In the seeds of grace. So I said, so you've got 10 children, but you feel guilty because they're not here. I just want to tell you that your children are getting an education with Christ and the angels. But it seems to me, because you've dismissed them, they've got names from Jesus, but not names from their parents. And they would like both, please. So would you think about that as I lay hands on you? All right, she said. And I got that far, down she goes. I met her the following day and said, how are you? She said that I was out for 2.5 hours. I've never been to a healing conference before. I've never ever had prayer before, and I've never fallen down before. And when I woke up, the lady playing the piano was the only person left in the room. She just deliberately stayed there to keep an eye on me. So I went out to clear my head. It was about 11 o'clock by now. Went down to the river at St. Simon's, walking back to my apartment, because I came on my own. And I heard this voice behind me say, slow down, Mother, we can't keep up with you. And I turned around, she said, and there were 10 children stood in front of me, all varying ages. And of course I'm doing the kind of shock response. It's a dream. It's a phantom. And disciples thought Jesus was a phantom, so it's all right to think it, although you've got to wake up. And so she's looking at all this, and apparently a man comes out on the balcony at this precise moment and looks down, and he sees the children too, and says, are those yours? And she said, yep. And that's the moment they all ran and got her. She said, they came up to me, they held my hands. They spoke to me and told me what heaven was like. They've been given special permission from Jesus because I have this deep sorrow inside of me. And she said it was an amazing thing. And they told me they all want to be named. So I had to go home and tell my unbelieving, liberal, Roman Catholic husband we had 10 kids to name. He was pretty shocked by that. She gave this testimony the Sunday morning in front of the entire congregation. And I remember sitting somewhere in that congregation, and when she finished, my wife was holding her hand, because she said, I've never given a testimony ever before. This is my first, and I'll do it as long as your wife holds my hand. So Rose held her hand as she told you what I'm telling you. And I can see this old man turn to his wife where they were sitting. And he turns to his wife, and very emotionally but quiet, he says, dear, I want to apologize to you. Because when you lost our first child, I said to you, trying to encourage you, it's all right. We'll have more kids. And they did. But I just totally ignored that life. And listening. He said, and I used to say to you when you suffered depression, that to get over it, it's postnatal something, all the labeling we like to do. And it was grief and loss. It was the death of a life. And for a woman, that's much more impactful physically, mentally, and psychologically than for a man. And I was so moved by the way this guy started apologizing to his wife. And he set off a ripple around the room of husbands apologizing to wives. So you know it's a God thing doing this. Her testimony, incidentally, appeared in Sharing magazine the following year. He took 4 pages of that magazine, which goes out to 50,000 people in the USA. Sent me a copy of it as well. And I was so impressed that when we take seriously, even though it's painful, it doesn't mean it's a bad thing, this weeping. It means we're locating, we're owning. It's what we do with it, with such things, which is the invitation you have in this Eucharist today. That doesn't mean anything. I'm just giving you